Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while and I'm sorry about that. Been kind of busy taking care of some other stuff. But we are back. I was going to do Camp Buddy Scoutmaster season, but in order to do that I would have probably either have to sift through the whole thing all over again because I'm back on my old computer and so I, I had to re-download the game and all that stuff. So I'd have to sit through it all to get to the point where I left off at, or I'd have to bring in my laptop from the other room, from the living room into here, bedroom, and do it off of that. So I really didn't want to have to deal with that right now. So I decided to just do Our Life Begins and Always, continue with the Derek route today. But before we get started, I'd like to thank all 188 subscribers that I have now. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate your support. The I would appreciate it even more if you guys could, viewers and subscribers could become Patreon contributing members. I would really appreciate it, and the community of charities would really appreciate it. Like I said, this is what I do this for, to entertain you guys, so that hopefully you guys, some of you, become Patreon contributing members, so that the membership funds go directly to a worthy charity that I choose from. Like I said, I don't see a penny of it. It just goes directly to a worthy charity that I choose from. And the community of worthy charities would certainly appreciate it as well. You would be doing a great thing. And remember, for those of you who want to receive copies of uncensored videos, you need to either join the $9 tier or the $25 tier. Those two are set up for adult content. There is a $3 tier, but that is a budget tier for people that are on a budget, or if you're under 18, it's not set up for adult content. I've received some complaints on my comments, and I really don't like those comments when people say that I should lower the price because whatever they think it's not fair, whatever the deal is. Look, this is just the way I have it set up. This is the way it is. I have to have a budget tier. I have to have it to where that's set up for non-adult content. I have to have a separate area for adult content. And that's the way it is with the makers of Our Life Begins and Always. They have a separate tier for adult content. And, people don't realize that. I'm on the $10 tier for Our Life Begins and Always. And I've been told that that's the only tier. If I wanted to receive adult content, I have to be on the $10 tier. So that's their rules, and that's what they're sticking to, and that's what I am sticking to. I make the rules. It's my channel. It's my Patreon, and this is the way I have it set up. So, save your bad comments to yourself, because if you don't like it, that's fine. You can go somewhere else. You can go to another channel. Go look at somebody else's channel. That's fine, whatever. But, this is the way I have it set up, and that's the way it is, And, again, you can find the link to my Patreon within the description area just below the video. So, enough with that. I'm going to go ahead and get started here. We're still recording. Okay. I'm going to check on it. All right. So Our last moment was the boardwalk. We did that. So we're gonna go to the soiree today. This is where we get to date Derek. Uh, Again, like I said, we're on the Derek DLC. So, oh, also, I've been told that in here we get to meet the younger version of Baxter at the soiree. So when they come out with the DLC for Baxter, we could always go to the soiree by ourselves, and then we meet Baxter there and kind of have a dance with him, kind of like a little date, kind of thing going on. That that would be one thing that we could do, and then we'll see where that where the DLC moments go from there on the Baxter moments. I'm really looking forward to doing the Baxter moments DLC. I really like the character Baxter. He's pretty cool. So I like to get one of my main character and get together with them, get them two together. But for right now, we are doing the DLC. We're dating Derek. We are we have a relaxed crush with Derek in this moment. So, and we are just we were like relaxed and kind of fond of Cove, meaning Cove is just a friend, and that's it. We're not like dating or anything. We don't have a crush on him or anything like that. Because we've already done Cove. We've done all the stuff we did with Cove, and that's where it is, So, let's go ahead and we're going to get into full screen here. And we'll start with Soiree. Grab some water here real quick. You whiled away the morning doing whatever stuck your fancy, and now you were recharging with lunch with nothing on the horizon. You were free to spend as much or as little time on your plate as you wanted. Excuse me. As well, you were thinking on all the possibilities for your afternoon that your mom's approached you.
Hi.
Alright, Chippy. You okay? Mouthful, you nodded in reply. To your surprise, they both sat with you at the table. Based on the time, you had wondered if they were joining you for a meal, but neither of them brought anything.
All right.
Great. We wanted to have a little chat with you. The qualifier a little did nothing to downplay the situation. Your chewing slowed as your eyes widened, looking from one parent to the other. Anything that required both of them to talk to you must be something big. Okay. I'm gonna go with the second one. You perked up, your mind full of it exciting possibilities. A vacation, maybe a pet or a pet. Revelation that they were actually undercover agents. You lean in, eager to learn more. There's a soiree at the Cypress tonight. I mean tomorrow night. Your ma and I are going. The Cypress was the country club your moms were a part of, and where Elizabeth played golf. It seemed like every other mouth they had some event or another, all with fancy names like Soiree. You're not eagerly anxious for mom to get the good stuff. Mom chuckled at your poorly concealed reaction. Leaning in, Ma took your hand and squeezed it. We've decided to make it the night a bit special. Elizabeth's going to be allowed to stay home, fully alone for the first time.
Sorry.
You'll be coming to the party with us. It's Elizabeth's night to party with no family. Not yours. Sorry. You gotta wait a couple more years. What's the story gonna be like? The usual, well, mostly. We wanted to make it a special night for you, too. So we've got something a little extra planned. That was unexpected. Interested you listened. Your parents shared a look across the table. You cleared your throat, reminding them that you were waiting. They couldn't keep dropping such hints and then turn coy when the conversation was about to get good.
Well?
Since it's a pretty fancy party that's still chaperone, and attendees are allowed to bring a guest, we thought it might be a nice opportunity for you to invite someone yourself as a date if you want. Your eyes widened as the words sunk in. Your mom's continued, and it was a struggle to keep up. Even though we'll be at the party too, you don't need to worry about us getting in your way. You'll be free to eat, dance, and enjoy the music as you see fit. But no leaving the property. Ma nodded at Mom's interjection.
Isn't that great?
Yes, as long as you don't leave the party. And if you'd rather bring a friend, that's okay too. That's amazing. You must have lit up because your parents shared an amused look again.
Don't worry about it.
The soiree isn't until tomorrow, so you got time. Just let us know your plans before we're heading out. And that's all. We'll leave you to your lunch now. Your moms rose from their chairs in unison. disappearing to another part of the house. You barely noticed their departure. All you could think of was what just had happened. The remnants of your lunch stared up at you from your plate. Let's see. You felt that you should finish eating, yeah. Okay. The conversation had taken your mind off the meal, but you opted to try to eat a little bit more. You picked at the plate for a little while longer. Even though you relocated to your bedroom, your head was stuck on the conversation that had unfolded at the dining table downstairs. You knew that sort of friend could be missed. You wanted it to be a date. Yeah, because we're taking Derek. We wanted Derek to go with us. The prospect of having your first date made it impossible to sit still. You couldn't help but jiggle your foot as you laid on your bed, contemplating the possibility. That night being a date would mean actually asking someone out. The little you knew of that came from what you'd seen on TV and movies and what you heard about from kids at school. Your moms hadn't even entertained the idea of you dating until now. You went over the possible words and phrases in your head, setting up scenarios and smooth surges before tearing them down and trying something else. And going with the first one, obviously. You realize that you'd been picturing Derek as the one you were asking. It had been his name repeating inside your mind, his face brightening as you invited him to join you. Okay. I'm going with the last one. Smiling, you closed your eyes at the daydream crystallizing in your head. You let a train of thought continue a little longer. You clearly pictured his pretty green eyes, the way he got a tiny frown when he was nervous, and tried your best to guess what he might do next. It was nice. You liked him. You knew you were supposed to be friends, but You just liked him a lot. You wouldn't be able to stop thinking of him, even if you wanted to, and you didn't. That was it. You decided to call Derek, invite him to the party. Yeah, let's go with that one. You were relieved to find the phone sitting on it in a cradle in the living room. Picking up the address book your mom's kept close to the phone, you flicked through until you found Derek's number under Sora's. You tapped the numbers into the phone and waited for someone to pick up.
Hello.
Hello, Sora's internet. Hello, Mr. Suarez. This is Chippy Prince. Can I talk to Derek?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's out with his brothers right now. Can I get him to call you back? Yeah, I'm gonna go with the first one, obviously. You can wait for Derek to return your call. You had a little time. Thank you. It would be really great if he could do that today. I'll see what I can do. You grabbed you garbled your goodbyes and hung up. You tried to relax in the living room somehow. That was as far as you got in your decision making. You let yourself sink down into the corner of the couch and remain stuck against the plush cushions. Your plan A was on hold. More than that, it was hung up on. But you'd committed to waiting to hear from Derek. So waiting is what you had to do. The remote had been carelessly left on the green stool, almost certainly by your big sister. You launched over the armrest to reach the TV device. You stretched out your finger and succeeded in pressing down on the button. When flopping back down into your seat, you caught a glimpse of what had appeared on the screen. The show playing was a How It's Made mini documentary type of show. The subject of that episode was pre-packed crackers. You didn't have the motivation to actually pick up the remote to change the channel. You simply let it play. After discovering ice is added to the flour, when mixing the wet and dry ingredients, a jiggly ring echoed across the room. Someone was calling. You went over to answer it. Hi, Who is this? The initial answer you got was a series of cheerful chuckles. It's Derek. Hey, Chippy. I'm really sorry I missed you calling before. I was watching the little bros at the park. Mom came to find me. She did? Yeah. So I could call you back. Oh, Miss Soares did you a big favor. She tell? Could she tell it was important? But that's oh, okay. But thanks for calling. Was there something you wanted to talk about? Yeah, I'm going to a soiree tomorrow with my mom's at the Cypress Country Club.
Cool.
You gotta tell me what happens when you get back. You officially gotten to talk to him about the party. The time had come to do something with the opportunity. You resolved to make it a date. Oh, excuse me. Derek, I want you to be my date for the party. You spoke your thoughts clearly. The pitch of his voice shot up, strikingly cracked through the phone. Really? The possibility took a second for Derek to process, and then another second, and then another. Derek? Finally, he gave a rushed reply.
Oh,
Oh, no, yeah, I want to go. You're supposed to take a date to a party like that, right? It makes sense. Thank you. Yeah. Prior stalling aside, your invitation had Derek positively giddy. He giggled and babbled away from the receiver, but it wasn't nearly quiet enough for the phone to not pick it up. I can't believe it. This is the best. And it's a date, Derek?
it's a date.
Cool. You smiled widely. It was going to be a special night. A muffled feedback masked Derek's voice as he talked on. He was moving around. You could easily picture him bonding about his apartment, phone still in hand.
Oh man.
What do you think they're going to have at the soiree? Dancing, music, sparkly drinks, maybe? Probably. The Cypress usually has pretty fancy parties. So cool. And the anticipation between the both of you continued to rise. Just imagining what tomorrow night might bring. But the party you were already starting was interrupted when Mom am- ambled back in the living room. She almost gave you a shout to greet you, but caught herself when she knows you were on the phone. Mimicking your current position, Mom stuck out her thumb and pinky finger and pressed what that hand against her ear. At the same time, her lips stretched forward to slowly mouth the word "who." Can you hang on for a second? I've got to answer my mom. You spoke on the phone.
No worries.
Say I said hello. Leaving things with him, you lower the phone to the counter. So what's happening? I'm talking to Derek. He says hello. Derek Soares? Her eyebrows arched in curiosity, but she still wore a grin. And did he happen to call out of the blue, or was it who you gave him a ring? Maybe to ask a certain question? Yeah, he's the lucky guy I asked to Soiree. Okay.
Well,
What kind of outing will it be? Her voice was hesitant but serious. It's a date. Mom nodded in understanding. She wore a wispy smile. Would you mind putting him on speaker for a second? I need to ask him something about tomorrow. Oh. The request caught you off guard and you fumbled the receiver for a second, but you got it under control and hit the speaker button. Derek, you can talk to my mom. I put you on speaker. Hello, Miss Prince. Hey there, I have a quick question. What are you intending going out with Tipping for his very first date? Stop embarrassing me. You covered her eyes with your hands. Washing had been mauled down here when you'd come home. Then again, Ma would have been just as embarrassing, but in a different way. She might even have cried. But Derek didn't buckle whatsoever from pressing your mom put on him.
I've got a plan.
I have the extra best intentions. Chippy is going to have such a fun time. He won't even know what hit him. Okay, good. That's enough for me. The big day isn't even here yet. You wondered if That meant she intended to give a repeat of this performance tomorrow. You were afraid to find out. Alright, bye then. Bye.
See you later.
Take care and see you soon. There were some happy giggles that stuck through before all sound on the other side cut off, marking the end of the conversation. Well, would you mind if I borrowed the phone now? I'll give Derek's parents a call back and get everything squared away. You held the receiver out, and Mom strolled over to pluck it out of your hand. Thank you very much, kiddo. Your part for the prep work was finished, and the rest of the afternoon passed by just like that. Back in your room, your mind was all right, with visions of tomorrow night. Excuse me. Soiree was something, but not nearly as exciting as going on your first date. You were thrilled that Derek had actually said yes, that he was your genuine date to a party. You hugged your knees to your chest, over augured by the thought the night couldn't come soon enough. The evening of soiree had arrived. The daylight hours having slipped away in a blur. Up in your bedroom, you were getting ready for the big event. That was your intention, at least, but you hadn't settled on an outfit. Stationed in front of your wardrobe, you scanned over the clothing you had at your disposal. Though Mom had mentioned this event was a bit dressier than normal get together, you didn't necessarily have to comply. You looked for something formal. You attempted to decide to between the nicer pieces of your wardrobe, the ones that were nearly had a chance to come out. You decided to dress formally because you were dressing to impress. Yeah. Fashion was a competitive sport, just like the golf tournaments at the club hosted. You might not walk out with a trophy at the end, but you still had every intention of winning. To start, you decided to wear button-down shirt. Crisp shirts were a classic formal look for a reason. They were essentially foolproof. You paired your top with dress pants. You picked a pair that compiled the color of your top and nodded with satisfaction. It was a slick look. You began to get dressed. Your fingers were working stiff zips and awkward fastenings. It felt different against your skin, reminding you with every moment that you were dressed up. Whatever happened tonight, you were pleased that you'd gotten the opportunity to wear this. Now dressed, you gave yourself a final glance over before heading downstairs, ready to head out. You found your moms already waiting in the living room. They were putting the finishing touches on their outfits. Ma strapped her heel into a stiletto shoe, and Mom trying to fasten a bracelet single-handed. They looked up as you entered.
Oh,
Chippy, you look nice. Don't you think, Pam?
Thanks.
Thanks for dressing up, Chippy. I hope the party will be prepared for your arrival. You look sharp. Mom was still struggling with the bracelet. You let a hand literally by taking one side and holding it as she secured the clasp. Thanks, kiddo. Elizabeth fluttered down the stairs, her eyes narrowed.
what?
You're still here? Yes, but not for much longer, hopefully. Wait, I know you're excited, but we haven't even said goodbye, and I want to go over things. Are you going to play, how things are going to play out? Elizabeth sighed as Mom began listening to the rules, tickling them off her fingers. No ordering takeout or other deliveries. You can't have anyone else come over.
Uh-huh.
She nodded, resigned to her fate, listening to a set of rules she could predict without so much as a glance at a crystal ball. If anything happens, you can call us or go across the street to the Holdens. Keep the noise down. The house might be empty, but there are people all around the neighborhood. Usual house rules still apply. Don't do anything you wouldn't do if we were here.
All right.
And we'll be back no later than 11:30 p.m. But we'll call if there are any issues. So don't tie up the phone line all night. Right? All done. Can you go now? Ma strode and over the swept Elizabeth up in a hug. Your sister let out a small noise. Her eyes widening. And suddenly looked much less like a smug teenager she acted like. You're such a big girl now. I still can't believe it. Elizabeth rolled her eyes. This wasn't going to be a quick departure that she'd been hoping for. Any chance of it ending soon vanished as Mom joined in the hug. Neither can I. It feels like it was only yesterday that Elizabeth groaned, trying to cut the reminiscing off without success. You join in the hug. Mom and Ma held out their arms as you approached, welcoming you into the hug. Elizabeth whined, eager for this to come to an end already.
Jeez!
Can you all go? Jeez. Your family distinguished from the hug in time to catch the doorbell ringing. Oh, I guess the honor is here. She raced over to the door. As Mom predicted, Derek had arrived right on time, and he was ushered inside.
Oh, nice.
You look very nice, Derek.
Same.
Thanks, Miss Prince. So do you. He does look pretty handsome. Derek pulled at the ends of his little polka dot bowl in satisfaction. His gaze, though, not so subtly sought you out. And that's going to you too, Chippy. Classy. On the final words, his voice faded away softly, like the rays of a dimming light. His words took you by surprise. Derek usually avoided commenting on your appearance, but you were happy to accept the compliment. You attempted to control the grin spreading across your face. The smile statement had made a big impact. You inspected his outfit in turn. You're looking good too. His crisp formal clothes had barely contained the elevation. Derek was vibrating.
Thank you.
Now that Mom had finished retreating, the rules to reiterating the rules to Elizabeth, who then scoffered off the sanctuary of her mom, of her room. Excuse me, sanctuary of her room. She came over to greet Derek. Hi, Derek. Nice to have you along for the ride. Thank you for taking me.
You're welcome.
It's no trouble. You're always welcome. Mom's eyebrows rose in twin lines of concern. It's all remember that this is only a very, very first date. There's no pressure on either of you, alright?
Yeah.
No pressure, yeah. His absolute enthusiasm began to dim at the statement. Luckily, Ma came over and cheered him on. Mom's the curious sort, sweetie. You didn't need to look so worried. Mom smiled reassuringly. She didn't intend to scare him. Ma laid a hand on her shoulder. We should get to the car. There's nothing fashionable about being late. And before I forget, thank you so much for getting here on the dot, Derek. That's appreciated.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, Miss Prince. I want to thank you too. It must have been hard. It must have been hard to time things with the long trip here. Yeah, I wasn't going to be late for this. Carefree laughter in the conversation flowed from Derek.
Oh, man.
I told my mom it was 30 minutes before it actually was. I was definitely going to be here when it was time to go. Ah, clever. You've got everything figured out. He hooked a couple fingers into his belt loops, grinning vigorously. I tried to. Mom got me here on time, so like 30 minutes before now.
Well,
I didn't want to interrupt you and your mom's because you were probably getting ready then. I just hung out at the park. With a wink, Derek tried to smooth over the awkwardness of that confusion. Jeremy never popped out of the bushes to insult me, so it was all good. That was too cute. You are adorable. He kicked up a leg bashfully giggling the whole time.
Thanks.
I wanted to make a good impression. And even if I had to be bored for a while, at least it was here in your neighborhood. You never know. There could have been traffic, or what if George fell off a gate and broke his collarbone again? George fell off a gate and broke his collarbone before? Yeah, when he was 8, but
Ugh.
you invited me to a soiree. My life would have been over if just one of those things had come up, and oh well. Guess we're going after all. I guess we're not going after all. Happened. Derek was drowning in the conversation of his own making. He closed to put a stop to that, building a dam between him and it. Sorry, I don't want to be all complaining when we're going to a party. And besides, coming early isn't going to matter if we're late because we kept talking about being early. Let's catch up with your moms. Right. We better hurry. You pulled up to the country club. The sun had sunk down deep into the horizon. The last of its light, sleepy, warm, and oncoming night. Your moms led the way to the space around the back where the event was being held. The place had been transformed through decoration with smart tablecloths and elegant ribbons, contributing to a festive atmosphere. Musicians dressed in matching black and white were getting up their instruments and flickering through pages of sheet music. And as promised, there was a table covered in plates of careful prepared food. Destination reached. Your mom's rounded on you and Derek. Things haven't kicked off yet, but don't let that stop you from everything. Enjoying yourselves.
Have fun.
Have fun. We'll be around if you need us.
See you later.
See you. Bye. Derek enthusiastically waved your mom's off, stretching his arm as high as it'll go. Bye, Ms. and Ms. Prince. Once they retreated in a distance away, you found him watching you. His eyes sparkled in the dangling lights around all as your date together officially began. Is there anybody you want to socialize with? That's what parties are for sometimes. Or we could get refreshments. We can go look at the snacks now. it's okay to eat them, uh, even if the music hasn't started yet.
Let's go.
All right, let's see what they've got. The two of you wandered over to the refreshment table. With it being early in the night, it barely been touched, and the plates were nearly as pristine as when they'd left the kitchens. The offerings were tiny, bite-sized, and ready to be picked up and sampled. It was immediately apparent that there was plenty to choose from. Just from the level of care with which it was presented, it was clear that this was fancy stuff. Derek pre-used the options with the options with scrutinizing scrutinizing eye from one end to the other. His gaze swept across the scene. He took a few sniffs for good measure. They put these together themselves, or they hired a catering company to come here and make them. But it's really fresh. That's great. Oh yeah, this is good stuff. You picked one of the nearby morsels up and presented it in front of Derek. It looked like a tiny slice of bread. There was a pile of veggies, and maybe some olives on top.
All right.
I'll try one. Without much thought and without taking much time, Derek scooped up only a couple appetizers onto his plate. The rest were left for other guests. Want me to get anything for you? Okay, thanks. Surprise me. Yeah.
I'm on it.
Derek put his plate down to get an empty one. He sidestepped across the length of the table, filling your dish with what he considered to be prime offerings. Then the plate was offered to you. Thank you. I'll be right back. I gotta use the bathroom. His cheery reply was said at the same moment he lifted his own food back up.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. So, do you like it? His face turned away hesitantly. Honestly, was conflicting with properness, but he tried to walk that line.
Honestly,
Not that much, but they really tried. A lot of these parties use pretty cheap stuff. Yeah, I like that you can only get the stuff here. That the company was even better than the food. After going through a round of sampling, you moved on to something else. Derek. Could we find a place to sit?
obviously.
Oh, duh, yeah. You've got to have a place to sit. Let me just. He checked out an area, swiveling his head around when Derek couldn't get a good enough view. He hopped up into the air. That one looks open over there. I think so too. You walked to sit at the edge of the party area where it was quieter with fewer people cluttered around. Derek hustled to reach the table first. Don't worry, I'll get that for you. He pulled out a chair and waited. Oh, sweet. You're a real gentleman. You took a seat on the woven patio chair. It was still a little warm from what was left of the sunlight. Derek gladly pushed it back into place with you in it. Then Derek swung around the table and got into his own chair, the one right across from you. Have you been to formal parties before? Not a summer soiree, but consequent, I don't know that word. Quinceañeras, weddings, that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's nice. They were pretty fun. Derek leaned all the way back, having a grin. Now that you had a spot of your own, you moved on to something else. All right. introduce you to people. I know a lot of these people since my mom's have brought me here a lot since I was little.
Whoa.
Well, I want to meet them. You beckon for him to follow you. He strolled up to your side and matched your pace. Most of the attendees skewed significantly older and considerably younger than the two of you, with only a few people around your age. Derek easily found his place among the attendants. He dipped his head politely and made his introduction. Hey, I'm Derek. It's really nice to meet you. His well-mannered disposition won over the longtime Cypress members right off the bat. Great to meet you too, son. As you expected, there was interest in who'd brought you to the party and what your relationship with him was. And Chippy, good to see you. Good to see you. Is this your date? Derek clasped his hands on his back while scouting an extra step closer to you. He poised as if you were about to take a proper couple's portrait photo. His rosy cheeks would have looked perfect if the picture had been taken. Yeah, Chippy needed a date for the party, and he picked me for it. His phrasing had caught your attention. Did he really think you have a date, and that's why you asked? Or you were thinking too hard about it? There was no way to tell by his tone. Derek had used his best behavior voice for the adults. And the circle of guests all visibly reached to the explanation, touching a hand to their cheek or chest. It was clearly too much for their hearts. Best of luck to you on your date. Derek definitely made an impression on them. Still, some people focused on the important things. How you were dressed. Don't you look snappy in that outfit? You scrubbed up well. The light-hearted conversation continued until someone's stomach rumbled. You parted ways with the group so they could make a break for the snack table. It was back to just you and your guest. Hey, Derek. Is there anything you want to do? Letting the next move up to him. Derek restfully looked around the party, and he squinted his eyes and really considered the possibilities. Then he gave an unassertive answer.
Well,
if it wouldn't be a big deal, would you be alright if you showed me around? I've never seen any of this place, so we could go on a walk. Derek's pointer fingers tapped in a rhythm around the edge of a nearby table, like he was spelling out his answer in text on a typewriter. That'd be nice. Let's go. Thanks. Derek happily trolled ahead, checking over his shoulder to see if you were coming too. You mean Shader keep up with his pace. You led him down a familiar stone walking path you knew would get far. Your lovely stroll around the country club grounds began in earnest. The bustling sounds of the party soon faded away, replaced by whispers of cricket songs and the serene summer breeze. Along the way, you gestured outward to point out what buildings were what, from simple storage sheds to simple club rooms for VIP members. And you were able to tell Derek all about the golf holes in the distance that you passed by, introducing how good or bad your sister was at completing them. You had a chance to tell the funny story when one time she got a penalty for a strike that landed in a water hazard. She had jumped right in the little pond to retrieve the ball and tried to pretend it never happened while dipping wet. Derek was amused as he was amazed. He engaged with you by making silly guesses about what you would tell him about next. Derek jokingly suggested that a normal garage was a research facility, studying how to add green to the grass. You were so absorbed in your companion for the outing and having the space to yourselves that you didn't realize the growing humdrum around you until it was right around the corner. Derek paused. He noticed it too. Oh. His eyebrow quirked as he tried to reason out the disturbance.
Huh?
Is that people? Did we make a loop and I just missed that? No. We're on the opposite end. It's about as far from the event area as we could be. Curiously, Derek took big strides while mentally puzzling over what you'd said. Together, you passed by a large wall to reveal another seating area. It too was filled with formally dressed people.
Whoa!
A second party. None of the faces scattered were regular members. Each one was as unrecognizable as any stranger off the street. You had your points of focus, and Derek his own totally separate ones. He spoke aloud to share what he'd noticed. The tables have cloths here, and I think the chairs didn't look like that back where we were. Actually, this Kind of feels like we got stuck in some alternate reality version of our soiree where everything is still really fancy but also still different in weird ways. That's funny, but really, this is really their outdoor dining scene for other types of events, ones that aren't the normal soirees. I never have a reason to go here when I visit with my mom's. I kind of thought it'd be empty with a soiree happening. Derek's gaze wandered across the area, taking another skewed look.
Mm.
Yeah, why would I be in this place when there's food and pretty lights over in the patio? And there's way more teens than at our party. Tons of them look like they're our age. This is mysterious. The long list of questions didn't bother Derek. Quite the opposite. Playing detective was something he was having fun with. It's time to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to ask somebody what's up. You just went along with him.
Okay.
Time to get some answers. As you followed him, Derek boldly headed into the thick of the family reunion. Business meeting, wedding, secret society meeting, or whatever it was. Soon you would know. Oh, so this is the young Baxter that I've told you about. He looks pretty handsome. I am really looking forward to when they come out with his DLC. I like to see how that goes. The subject Derek zoned in was a tall kid, maybe older than you and him, who stood in the edges of the crowd by themselves. Most everyone else was part of the group or in one-on-one conversation, but not that person. Their hair was short, swapping back strands that framed a poignantly petite face. Their dark brown eyes were heavily lidded. Lidded, excuse me. On the second glance, you also noticed there was a small mole on their cheek. On the neck, excuse me. You wouldn't have been surprised if people often told them they were pretty. The rest of their skin was pale white and kind of that had somehow escaped any tanning, freckling, or even sunburning in California summer rays. Dirk offered a friendly wave once he was close enough to close enough for it to be clear. He wasn't just passing by.
So,
Hey, so this might sound weird, but what are you guys doing here? A coy smile came across the stranger's face. We're visitors who are in this town for a dance circuit. This dining area is reserved for our group only tonight. What is going on with you? The tables were immediately turned. You and Derek had questions to answer for. He rubbed his cheek and chuckled uncomfortably.
oops.
We didn't know that. There's a soiree happening on the other side of the club for members and their guests. That's where we came from. Please don't tell on us. That got them to open their eyes completely. They even leaned forward just a bit, much more engaged in the conversation. I thought I noticed something that way. It's been bothering me the entire evening. I was planning to check when it got darker. Yeah, well, that's what it is. Sorry for crushing your party. Don't apologize. The self-described dancer's eyes sunk back into their half-open state as their lips curved even further. His smile had become a true smirk. I'm still going to yours when I get a chance. The mutual exchange of secrets brought a light-hearted sense of camaraderie between your tiny group. But it didn't last. They inclined their head as a slight nod before breezing away. Bye. Good luck with your dance circuit and everything else. Thanks for talking to us. As soon as your rogue acquaintance mixed back into the crowd, fellow suited performers, Derek wrapped his arms around his chest. Okay, I feel a little more out of place now that we're not even talking to anybody. Let's go back to the path before one of the adults realizes we're not supposed to be here. It's going to be like that movie with the aliens who take over people where they point and yell at real humans. That's so freaky. Right, we've got to go. Derek's expression tensed with grim seriousness. He took an extra step towards you, never taking his eyes off your surroundings. Some of the guests had already begun directing lingering glances at the two of you, unsure of your presence there. The closeness followed you to hear conspiratorial words said under his breath. How are we going to handle this? We need to pretend we belong and walk out. Trying to ignore the stares, you made your break for it. You hooked your arm around Derek and began to walk.
Oh,
After a bit of a stumble, Derek up, even his poise and properly took your arm. He kept his head high, chest out, chin pointed, and popped his other hand back and forth in time with his footsteps. The fact that it was more parody of a fancy pants rich person than normal human at a get together. But Derek always had to give things his all. Foot by foot, the way to freedom grew even closer. After passing a group of people, an unfamiliar voice hit your ear from behind. Excuse me, do you know where your parents are? The server may have honestly been wondering, or it might have been a veiled method to call you out, not belonging in the politest way possible. That it didn't change the fact that you were spotted waltzing around a private party you weren't invited to. The next sound that made its way through the pounding heartbeat was a fall familiar whisper.
shoot.
Run. You didn't need to hear anything else. The two of you were in sync. Like a switch was hit, you burst into your full height and used the momentum to launch yourself forward past the failed hiding spot. You lost hold of each other's arm, and in spite you kept each other's to each other's side. Your dramatic escape caused a minor ruffling of feathers throughout the crowd. Shouts of "Hey!" and "Stop running" could be heard over the confusion of what was going on. It was just as Derek had feared. But no one was actually chasing after you, as far as you could tell. However, neither you nor Derek were taking chances, and you kept up the frantic pace. You were escaping the metaphorical aliens. Your throbbing heart was caught up in your throat as your pounding feet propelled you down the same track you'd come from. Being dressed in your Sunday best didn't help matters. it may have been fitting for a summer soiree, but it didn't fit at all for situations like that you somehow ended up in. It seemed you and Derek had a knack for winding up in positions that required a hasty retreat. At least that time you came to get away for good. You wouldn't have to go home and face the music like when you ditched Elizabeth on the first day of your vacation. Once you'd made it halfway back across the country club, you finally slowed into a full stop, breathing a sigh of relief. Your face was flushed with heat, but a chill began seep as the evening wind brushed over beads of sweat on your skin. You got goosebumps along your arms. It was invigorating. Meanwhile, Derek wiped his forehead with the palm of his hand, likely missing those plush wrist bands he almost always had on, and glanced up at the sky.
Good job, team.
Looks like we shall live to see another day. Another victory in the bag. You gave a thumbs up in celebration. The rest of the walk back was indeed a walk. You could relax with a slow pace, enjoying the quiet reassurance of being alone with Derek. The rest of the world would be unable to reach you for a little while. Nightfall had long passed by the time you and Derek found your way back under the dazzling lights of the summer soiree. Mom would say it's not fashionable to be late, but maybe it was when it's your second time arriving to a party. It might have been to Derek. He took in a scene with new eyes, amazed once again by the elegance surrounding him. With a tilt of his head, he shot a chummy grin at you.
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely did have to be here for this. It's living a real life movie. It's living a real life movie instead of watching one. What do you mean instead of? We're gonna do something else tonight? For a second, he didn't speak, frozen in place. Then Derek deflated like a free balloon from shopping, from the shopping street. His shoulders sunk low and forward, and he bent on his knees. Well, actually, we're gonna go to the movie theater. Mom Dan and the Bros. It was something we knew would be today for a couple of weeks. But when you called and asked me to go to the party, I said yeah. I didn't even think about how there was already a plan for that today. He snickered at himself, eyebrows pinching together tightly. It was kind of awkward when I had to tell my parents I couldn't call you back and say I wasn't going to go after all and beg them to let me miss the movie. Luckily, they could tell this was a matter of life and death and still wanted their son around, so they managed to bring me over. Derek and you were somehow equally shocked by the explanation.
Man.
Always used to remember, to remember things. They were big deals, and now this happened. He sighed, baffled and frustrated. The green-eyed boy had lost the metaphorical keys of his own thoughts. I gotta do better next time. If it helps, I'm happy you wanted to see me so much. He physically perked up, right up, standing straight again. Flush rushed over his cheeks, and that he tried to play off with a joke. It would have been extra embarrassing if you didn't even care if I didn't decided not to come. And Chippy, I want to say I'm the one who forgot I was doing something and had to skip out on the family movie. You didn't make me abandon them or anything, so I hope you don't feel bad about it. Thanks, Derek. No worries, just checking. Derek scuffled the base of his black slip on loafers against the ground as words faded away. Then he lifted his head to look somewhere past you. Oh hey, the music's playing. He spoke softly, like he was afraid he'd bring the melodies to it, and then if the interrupted, as if he interrupted them. But Derek was right. Once he brought it to the front of your mind, the rest of the world came back in. The sounds of the delicate plucks on strings included. There was no crowd gathered to dance, only a few couples spread out across the space. You must have missed the initial stream of Soiree attendees. It had grown late. Well, since we're here already and everything, would you want to dance with me? The question ended in a hopeful upward inflation. He bounced up on his heels, wants to punctuate it. Derek stopped breathing entirely when the sentence was complete. I love to.
Nice.
Yes. Derek's cheer was pure, cheer-free even. The worries from right before vanished as quickly as he'd forgotten the movie. There was a trend with him, with you. Sweetly, he brought up a hand for you to take. You wrapped yours around his. It was still a bit sweaty from earlier, though so was yours. You took to the wild, open floor and turned to face each other directly. Raising the arm with Derek's, you position your hand onto Derek at the same time. He followed your move with a sharp focus. Your bodies were close enough together. There was enough of a size difference that you had to tilt your head down to look at your partner for the dance. Then your eyes met. You felt your hand being squeezed much more tightly than Derek probably realized. Derek's face had gone a deep shade of red. You tentatively moved as one. Derek stepped lightly, never so much as pinching the tips of your toes. Each sway transitioned better than the last, though there wasn't much of a flow. Derek danced more like a machine, clinching exactly into the place at the right intervals. There was tension in Derek that, for the second time in a few minutes, he tried to laugh away.
Hey.
Check it out. We totally are dancers. They should have let us join that other party. Stiffness on the delivery only made a line funnier. You had a crack smile. Derek let the conversation drift away. Focus returned completely to a proper performance. You leaned over and rested your head on, rested your cheek on his head. Derek gulped, but pressed deeper into the touch. His warmth spread through you more wonderfully than the melodies swirling around. You were happy. Eventually, the last other guests returned to their tables to rest. It was only you and him left there. In a small voice, Derek let you in on what was on his mind. Hey, sorry we kind of missed the party. I shouldn't have made you take me around everywhere. Don't worry about that. I just hope you had fun. I did. I'm still having fun. Right. This exact second. I'm really glad I had you. I'm really glad I had my first date with you. The tips of his eyebrows dug lower into his face. He was serious.
Really?
You mean it? Yes, I really mean it. You brought him to. Uh, you brought him to a loss for words, or actually, it was to a point where any words he wanted to say only got stuck at the end of his tongue. His mouth opened with a question. He closed it again without asking. Derek? He instantly shook his head, not letting you speak anything you might have wanted to either.
Forget it.
It's nothing. Well, would it be way too much to say thanks for bringing me again? It's okay. Blissfully, with a dazzled tilt, Derek grinned that charming smile of his. Your heart clenched as if you were in a free fall of a skydive rather than standing in the middle of a pleasant party. The feeling of connection was mutual. Derek was buzzing with the kind of energy you only got when it was bouncing off the best of company. It made Derek break out of his self-imposed mold. He tucked his left hand around your back and spun the both of you around. Whoa,
Let's go.
let's dance. You answered by shifting your own hand to hold on more tightly. Cool. The two of you twirled like ballerinas. You pushed and pulled your bodies apart, back together as your mom would have said. You cut a rug across the soiree floor. Somehow you felt like a kid again, where it didn't matter what you did or who might be watching. The world was yours to enjoy. Derek had clearly embraced that mindset with a little impromptu tap, dancing to the beat, bringing you along the whole way. You cleared and laughed together until you lost your breath, and even so, you still kept going. Then, all too soon, the song reached its conclusion. You could have continued quite continually, intently for some time more. You and Derek let your arms drop down in front of you, though one had stayed linked with his, and your feet remained rooted where they were. Suddenly, you weren't holding hands to dance. You were just hand holding with Derek. He took this initiative to finish your performance with a flair by giving a properly formal curtsy while still never letting go of you. Derek crossed his legs and swept his back down. Legs bent, he lifted his head to face you and winked. Somehow he found some giggles left inside. You heard your name called out and Derek gasped. You both spun to find Mom yelling for you and Derek beside her. Mom was shaking her head.
Sorry.
It's time to go home. Lonnie and I had to get hold of them somehow. What did you want me to do? Sneak up on them? Her chosen method was immediately better than that, but the timing was still terrible. Derek breathed a sigh of relief after the shock wore off. The shout had thrown him right back to earlier in the evening when unknown adults were also yelling after you. He lifted up one cheek with a lopsided smile.
Phew.
Looks like we're getting away with it. The getaway ride is here. The two of you shared a private laugh while your parents watched the reaction in confusion. You were so glad you got a chance to dance with Derek after all of your mischievous misadventures at the party. Despite the minor spook, thanks to your mom, it had been a perfect ending to the evening. And it had to end sometime. You didn't need to say anything to him. The two of you strolled together again over to your parents, who were bickering playfully. Hello, Miss Prince and Miss Prince. Standing shoulder to shoulder, the two surveyed you and Derek. You wondered if they were checking that they were returning the Sora's son in the same state that he'd left the house.
So?
That was quite a night. Hugging. Wasn't it? Just? I think it was pretty unforgivable. Derek's face had a full grin, and while the words were in response to your parents, he looked directly at you when he said them. Thanks for bringing us. Mom was smiling too, with an expression so soft it could have cradled a newborn chick.
Well?
How was your very first date? So good and amazing. Really. We couldn't catch a glimpse of you the whole night, so what? Please don't start on them already. It technically hasn't even ended yet. Fine. Good. Well, we better hustle. First stop is bringing Derek home, and it's already getting late. Elizabeth will have the place to herself for a while longer. If we're lucky, our house might still be standing when we get back.
Pam!
Oh, shush. She swatted your mom playfully, laughing at the comment. You cast one last look at the party. You saw people exchanging farewells and surprising yawns. Most of the faces were happy ones, despite the weariness that was starting to creep in. Derek lingered near you, waiting. The pair of you were going to be left behind at the rate things were going. Turning away from the final moments of the summer soiree, you were left feeling grateful that you had such a good guest to keep you company in the whole way through. You both easily caught up with your moms. They hadn't gone far. Together, the four of you navigated the crowd parking lot filled to the brim with cars from other visitors. Ma unfortunately couldn't remember exactly where the car was. It took a short game of extra elegant or extra ridiculous, depending on your view, hide and seek with a car to locate the familiar vehicle in a back corner of the lot. You clambered inside and Mom hit the road. It would be a while before you arrive at Derek's home, so you let yourself settle in against the seat. You slung lowered and rested your head against the car door. Little blurs of light flashed one after the other as the car sped past street lamps, lingering the almost emptied road. After more than 10 minutes of silence, Derek extended his arms and legs all the way out while lifting them in the air and pairing it with a wide yawn. He looked like a sleepy starfish. Derek glanced at you through squinted eyes as the soft smile replaced the large gape in his mouth before. In the darkness of the back of the car, as you rocked gently from the vibrations, he whispered to you, "You're great." Oh. Oh. You're really cute. Thanks. His eyes fell closed, the eyes of his lips still pulled up.
Hmm.
Do you think that brown-eyed dancer ever made it to the soiree? Probably. I bet he did, Derek. Yeah. Finally, you arrived at the condo complex. Your mom's insisted on escorting Derek into his actual house. He didn't protest. You, of course, tagged along too. Yeah, it was a chance to stay with Derek for longer. It was a short walk to the building, though modernly decorated lobby up the floor and across the hall to Derek's front door. He paused the journey for a second and gave a warning. We're going to have to be really quiet. It's past my brother's bedtime. And your mom's nodded as a group. Mom even went the extra mile by making a mock zipping gesture across her lips. That was enough for him and Derek shoved a hand deep into his gray dress pants. He retrieved a loop of shiny silver keys. He circled through the first couple on the ring before carefully gripping the one he needed. It was slotted into the keyhole, twisted, then the door was tugged slowly open. Derek went straight in. You followed on his heels and Ma behind you, and Mom got inside last. She shut the door. Lights were on in the main room, but it was empty, an empty space. None of the four people could be seen. The only sound was clicking and rumbling of an active dishwasher. Derek bobbled his stretched out hands low and back up, gesturing like a team captain for you to hold the line. Your mom gave a thumbs up. He tiptoed down the hall, hunching his shoulders up high. When he reached the last door at the end, he shifted from almost crouching, extended out his tallest height. Then Derek gave the door a few light knocks. Mr. Soares answered, his features lit up, seeing who was there. Miss Soares joined her son and husband right after. Mouths opened and closed as they had an audible conversation in the other side of the condo. Their lips shut when Derek pointed to the entryway. Both Sora's parents took a step out of the room in front of the other. They easily spotted your family there, huddled together in your formal attire. The three of you stayed put while they crowded through the hall. The room came alive with pleasant greetings between the two pairs of grown-ups, though all in hushed tones. They offered a hello to you next.
Welcome.
Welcome home. Welcome to our home, Prince family.
So good to see you.
So good to see you again. Hi, will you return your kid in one piece? Oh, thank you. I see that. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad.
Hello.
Hello, Derek. I'm sorry for keeping him out so late. Right, for mostly elderly crowd, those country club goers sure can party into the wee hours of the night. From the side, Mr. Soros snickered. Apologized to Nicholas. Derek picked up on a little comment loud and clear. It made his teeth clench.
Aww.
He threw a fit, huh? The chuckles grew into a full, obscured laughter.
Yes.
He was trying to drown us all in tears. Then the time to sleep came, and his most loved person still wasn't home. Junior wasn't pleased either, in his way. In contrast to the father's tickled amusement, Derek's mom frowned. She rubbed the opposite sides of her forearms with her hands crossed over her chest.
Don't worry about that.
Derek and Chippy can't be blamed for that. This was an important night. Yes, it is. Shush. Derek and his mom brought a finger to their lips to hush Mr. Soares in a ununited chorus of disapproval. Derek's dad chuckled softly under his breath, rustling his beard. You got the impression he knew exactly what reaction he was going to get, and it was done on purpose. He played innocent and simply continued with what he had to say.
So?
How was your date? Fun? He tucked his finger into the edges of his vest, puffing up his chest. I know all of our children were prepared to accompany someone to a proper social gathering. One day, when you are older, you could come with me to business dinners. Mr. Sora's genuine pride over the date felt like a foreign language in comparison to your mom's love of teasing. But for Derek, that nod of approval made him just as bashful as your parents could do to you. We had a nice time, thanks, Dad. Miss Suarez beamed and gave her child encouraging pat on the cheeks, squashing his face between both hands.
That's great.
That's what we hope to hear. Thank you for letting Derek come with me to the party.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, Chippy. I wouldn't have wanted him to miss it. His parents were so nice, but that wasn't a surprise. Derek had to get it from somewhere, and have to fear Junior and Nicholas will recount the movie so well it will be as if you saw it yourself. I already feel as though I have watched it myself 3 or 4 times. It was meant to be further encouragement, but the weight of self-imposed shame brought Derek's head down. His mother watched over him. Her mouth opened slightly before she had the words to say. Were you stressed about that tonight? Not coming to the movies with us?
Maybe.
Maybe a little.
No more.
Derek, you have nothing to be guilty over. In the discussion, no more feeling sorry. Derek's dad followed up with wholehearted agreement. When will there be another day to attend a soiree? A movie can be rented after it leaves the theaters. It will wait for you as long as you want. And so will we. We're not going anywhere. Derek finally let himself embrace the fact that he'd done something just for himself, and that was alright. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. He stood a little taller and seemed a little more grown up. Exhaling long and slow from his nose, Mr. Soiree spoke peacefully.
Young love is a beautiful thing.
You questioned it if you actually heard that right until you heard Derek.
What?
He might not have heard himself, though. Derek was in such a shock he shouted out with a volume higher than you'd ever experienced from him, and at the worst possible time for it. A brushy brow on Mr. Sora's head, he frowned earnestly, bemused. What is that wrong? Derek snapped back with painted frustration. There was an attitude, edible wine in his tone. Why would you say that? And then tiny, rapid footsteps thumped across the hardwood. The echoes moved with purpose, and they were coming closer. Accepting sigh defeat brought your attention away from the incoming commotion. Miss Soros had folded her arms across her chest. Well, he's up. Derek clapped a hand to face. He winced practically from the impact of that, but mainly from the consequences of his earlier actions.
I hate to say it.
I hate to chase you off, but we're going to have to get Nicholas back to bed where he belongs. Time to call it a night, everyone. Oh no, I understand completely. Elizabeth is quite the handful when she was little. She still is in different ways. Prim smiled, remained in the place of Ma's face, but there was a smirk twinkling in her eyes. Derek's mom rested her hands back on her hips as she laughed musically. I say that Nicholas having the energy of 3 is a price I must pay. With what angels Derek and George are, we'll survive it together. The two sets of parents exchanged the briefest goodbyes with each other, but they weren't any less friendly. There wasn't time to waste. Night, Chippy. Sorry about this. The party was great. You're still a perfect gentleman, huh? Still trying, maybe. He waved with sleepy softness while you were ushered out by Mom and Ma. Before your Ma could pull Sora's front door completely shut, a final squeal escaped through the crack.
Didic's back!
And that was followed by the click of a lock in place. Derek had officially been returned to his family. He was no longer your guest. Ma's heels clicked down complex hallway with her head high and a grin playing out on her face. Now that's one way to end the night. I agree, Pam. Only if Elizabeth would welcome us home with the same level of enthusiasm. Yeah, don't count on it. They laughed, covering their mouths and trading glances like schoolgirls. You went along with skipping your step, finally, fully content. The soiree was a wrap, and you wouldn't have changed a thing about it. As your mom has said, your first independent formal party ended on a very memorable note. Well, and that's the end of that. Our next moment on here will be, and then the summer ended. And I believe there's more moments. There's got to be. I'm pretty sure there's probably more moments. Got to be more moments after that. Like our main character getting to get back together with Dirk again and developing a relationship and possibly even getting married like we did with Cove. So yeah, look forward to that. I will try on my next recording. I'm not gonna guarantee it, but I will try on my next recording to do get back to Camp Buddy Scoutmaster season with the Aiden route. It's getting close to the end on the Aiden route, so shouldn't be that much more that left on there, I think. So save this right there. There we go. So let's see, configure, go there. So in the meantime, thanks for watching on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button, and don't forget to check out my Patreon account and please, I encourage you, please become a Patreon contributing member. I would really appreciate it, and so would the community of charities appreciate it, because like I said, all the funds go directly to a worthy charity that I choose from. And you can find the link to my Patreon within the description area just below the video. So until next time, I will see you guys later.